Carter Elliott joins us to talk Michigan State basketball, but more specifically, the 5 things we are looking forward to the most this upcoming season. But first, hey, little quick recap of Michigan State football's recruiting weekend. Let's go.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, thank you so much for kicking off your week with us here at Locked On Spartans, your team in green and white 3 days a week. Yes, Monday, Wednesday, Friday during June and July, but once August rolls around, 5 days a week. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/Locked On today to get started. We are going to be doing a lot of basketball talk in today's episode. We are joined by Carter Elliott of Spartans Illustrated, of Sleepers Media, and, well, just incredible friend of the podcast here. We have a great chat just talking about, well, whose conference is this anyway? And then we go right into the top 5 things we are looking forward to the most this upcoming season. But first, it was an exciting second official visit weekend for Michigan State football. At the time of recording, 8:16 on the dot on Sunday night. That is p.m. Eastern Standard Time. No commitments from this weekend, but boy howdy, gee willikers, excuse my French. There is a lot of smoke going on around the football complex, around 2 guys specifically. Now, one is a player that there was smoke just over his head going into this weekend, and that is Anthony Scoota Carey, running back out of Florida, 4-star running back out of Florida, I should say. He was getting all sorts of crystal balls, some rivals predictions, some on-3 predictions. Really, the top 3 recruiting sites out there reporting predictions for Anthony Scoota Carey to come to Michigan State. From what I hear, the visit went pretty well, very well. And right now, as it stands, he just has the North Carolina official visit scheduled for next weekend. So at the same time, hey, maybe he's going to commit soon, perhaps, but also the second storyline, does he go on that North Carolina visit? Or, hey, did Michigan State do such a good job, he just went ahead and canceled that visit? So that's number one. That's a guy that we already knew about, was leaning Michigan State beforehand. The second name here, the one, the only, Reggie Powers, highly rated 3-star safety out of the state of Ohio. 6'1", 190-pound safety. Okay, yeah, comes to Michigan State. Obviously, we want him. You know who else wants him, though? Little school called Ohio State. He is set to visit the Buckeyes on the June 23rd weekend. He's set to visit Cincinnati the upcoming weekend, and he already visited Pitt last weekend. But you already know this by now. Reggie Powers, that visit went pretty good for our Michigan State Spartans. So well that, well, the guys at On3 and the guys at 24/7 Sports, they've logged predictions for Reggie Powers to not go to Ohio State, which, let it be known, no, this is a kid that the Buckeyes do want. He is an in-state kid. To that fact, too, things seem to be leaning in the positive direction right now for the safety out of Ohio. So, look, that's a surprise. In my book, at least, that's a little bit of a surprise to other recruiting experts as well, if you don't take my word for anything, which I don't blame you. There are some people that know a little bit more than I do out there. Even they're a little surprised with how fast things are trending for Michigan State. So that's your second guy that we are going to be watching this week to see if he even goes on that Cincinnati visit next weekend or that following Ohio State visit as well. And let's not get it twisted. I mean, it would be a pretty big recruiting win for Mel Tucker and gang to land this top 600 kid out of the state of Ohio. I'll say it one more time, with Ohio State and Cincinnati offers as well to pluck him up here. So keep your eyes peeled to that. But yeah, we just had to get through all that before getting into the rest of the week here and with our chat with the one, the only Carter Elliott of Spartans Illustrated. So there you go. That's your football update. Let's get into some basketball right now. Folks, it is always a joyous day when this incredible friend of the podcast joins these airwaves. It is Carter Elliott of Spartans Illustrated, of Sleepers Media. I mean, guys, you already know who he is. He is one of the best out there. Carter, my man, how we doing?
I'm feeling good. All right. Usually when I get on these episodes, there's something that's eating at me. There's something
Right.
that's kind of weighing on my shoulders a little bit heavy, but I got a little pep to my step nowadays. I got a nice little iced coffee right here. The birds are chirping. There's a little tree blooming across the street. It's got a little pep to my step nowadays.
Just absolutely lovely. I got my iced coffee going on over here too. We are just living like good millennials over here. This is fantastic. Right. We are going to each name our top 5 moments we are looking forward to this basketball season. But first, Carter, you know what? Let me try to put something on your shoulders that's eating at you because look, Michigan State, it's been an incredible offseason. We are doing awesome. We got returning players. Life is good, but well, son of a gun, Carter. We're not the only Big Ten team that's having a good offseason. There's a lot of other programs that have seen a lot of key returners come back to their schools. So with that said, Carter, whose Big Ten is this? Who is the top dog in the Big Ten? Is it our Michigan State Spartans, or do we need to get out of our vacuum and realize that, there are some other good teams in this conference?
Yeah, I mean, obviously what Michigan State has done this offseason, I mean, you mentioned other Big Ten teams, but Michigan State in general, like you think back to last offseason, when everyone and their mother was in a tizzy over what the offseason would look like and what it would go like. And if you ask somebody what their ideal offseason looked like, that didn't happen last season. Honestly, 9 out of 10 fans or lovers of Michigan State basketball, if you ask them to map out an offseason and what it looked like, it would go exactly how it's gone. So, sure. Yes, we're very happy. Yes, it's going to be amazing. But I've always been a believer, and I know you weren't expecting a but there is a but. I've always been a believer of, teams that are previous champions or teams that have won are the big dogs until somebody knocks the big dogs off. And, with the Purdue team, they're bringing back a National Player of the Year and basically the same team last year. Throw away the Fairleigh Dickinson stuff, but this is a team you cannot deny. They won the Big Ten regular season. Honestly, pretty comfortably after they kind of fizzled down towards the stretch, and they won the Big Ten tournament. Despite how they won it, they won the Big Ten tournament despite the conference. So in my eyes, Purdue's the top team in the Big Ten until somebody takes that crown from them. Now, being number two is not bad, but they're the big dogs for now, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think MSU is the number 2 because I hate to say it, but I do agree with you. Yes, the last memory we all have of Purdue is getting flamed out by Fairleigh Dickinson, a team that was full of jockeys that could just shoot the ball really well. And if you're like me, maybe you didn't really tune into the rest of the Big Ten tournament because you were so salty about what happened to Michigan State. But guys, if you did watch, they kind of put it on cruise control to the title there. And, well, I mean, God, if you just want to talk individually, the last time us State fans saw our Spartans play against Purdue, it was a 95-point game right off the jump, too. So I do have to give it to Purdue. MSU number 2, but safe to say that they're in the same tier of the tier 1. And if so, is there any other like 3rd or 4th team that's also on the same tier? Or do you think it's really Purdue, MSU, and then the rest of the conference?
Oh, no, I think it's a pretty clear tier. It's Purdue, MSU, and then you have the rest of the teams in the Big Ten kind of falling into that next category. But I really, truly think they're on their own tier, just talent-wise, what they got coming back. They got the perfect combination of guys coming back and like guys coming in also to help with both those teams. So yeah, I think it's a fall off after 2. Now the conference as a whole is going to be a lot better than it was in the previous years for sure. But Michigan State and Purdue are definitely on a tier with themselves.
Fair. And it is a crime that, there's only one MSU versus Purdue game, and it's a felony that is at, Mackey Arena. Just a great place to watch our Michigan Spartans play. I love it every single year. And we will be right back with our guy, Carter Elliott, here in a hot second. But first, need to talk your ear off about FanDuel Sportsbook. Gang, make a fast break to FanDuel during the NBA playoffs. We might only have one more game to do this. Right now, new customers. That's right. Maybe that's you. You get a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500. That's right. I will repeat myself in case it sounded too good to be true. That is $2,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win at FanDuel Sportsbook. Also, I'm going off script here. I followed the Canadian Open. FanDuel, not only for betting, they have the best just golf tracking app possible. They were ahead of the PGA app, the Yahoo app. Go follow your golf tournaments, including this week's U.S. Open at FanDuel as well. Gang, there is no better place to bet in on all of the playoff action for NBA. And, well, hey, there's also at least one more NHL game as well. That's at FanDuel.com/lockedon. And go ahead and get that no-sweat first bet up to $2,500. One more time, gang. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. It's FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. No, you know what? No. We're going to turn the mood around. We are going to get into our top 5 things we are looking forward to this basketball season. This whole offseason, we've been doing Top 5 Tuesday. Well, in June and July, we've gone down to 3 days a week. We don't really drop episodes on Tuesdays anymore. So now it's just like top 5 whenever the heck we want to. So, hey, Carter, welcome to a top 5 whenever the heck we want to version. This is things we are looking forward to this basketball season. They could be broad. They could be specific. Do you want to trot out your number 5 to get the party started here?
Yeah, I'll try to my number 5, and just to get this out of the way, I am personally looking forward to that first piece of adversity because of the expectations this team has. I don't know what that adversity is going to be, but I cannot wait to see the backlash, the blow up, everything, the mental breakdowns, the think pieces, the Spartan shadows, headlines of what's going to happen when the first piece of adversity hits, whether it be AJ Hogarth's body language or Jaden Akins not shaking his teammates' hands when he gets subbed out in the 2020. Like I can't wait for that though. It's needed.
This is why I love having you on, because we are on the same wavelength right now. My number 5, the February Civil War when MSU goes road loss at Purdue, home overtime loss against Wisconsin, then road loss at Illinois. No, the schedule isn't even out yet, but like you can pretty much set your watch to that one. That happens every single year, that 2 or 3, or dare I say 4-game losing streak in the middle of the season where, look, the adversity amongst the team, that's always spicy. That always drives headlines. But I'm also part of the problem here because I'm one of the fans that have a meltdown. The fan base melts down, and then there's this whole civil war amongst us. And really, Thomas talks about getting fat and sassy with his team whenever it calls for. You know, maybe it's early in the season, maybe it's the middle of the season. But it's not just the players in that locker room that sometimes get fat and sassy. Sometimes it's us fans. And then normally what happens after that horrible 3-game skid, well, greatness ensues, Carter. And so, yeah, it's a weird thing to look forward to, but knowing what's at the other end of that tunnel, we've been here long enough. Not long enough to know that, like, we shouldn't melt down during this 3-game stretch, but we've been been fans long enough to know that everything kind of usually sort of turns out okay in the end. So,
yeah, and we'll look back on that adversity as we're getting ready to go to the Final Four.
Exactly. Like the 2019, like that 3-game skid, I thought this team was going to crater themselves into a 7 seed, get bounced in the second weekend against some 2 seed, and quite the opposite. They were the ones that got the 2 seed in the end, and they cruised to the Final Four. So there you have it. And God, dare I say, the last time Zion Williamson had a smile on his face, quite the downward trajectory for that young man over there. Hopefully your week's going a little better than his has been going, Carter. But number 4 for things we are looking forward to the most this basketball season, if you want to go, or if you want to elaborate on Zion a little more, it's really up to you.
No.
Okay.
I'm ready. I had a list of 20 and I cut this down to 5. So
Gotcha.
4 for me is the depth of this team.
Okay.
The last 3 years, depth is not something that we have had, especially last year. For as good as Tyson Walker was last year, and consistently you had Tyson and Hauser every single game. I'm just excited to see the depth of this team and how it can like relate to this team's success. Because last year, if Tyson or Hauser were off, we were looking to the bench, and no offense to the guys on the bench last year, but they weren't just really getting it done at a Big Ten level. Sure. But athletically, youth-wise, I think that this team has a lot of, Izzo has a lot more tools in his toolbox to get it done this year. And that kind of excites me because, we could have a situation where, maybe Malik Hall or some player like that isn't playing well for like a stretch of games. And you can kind of reel him back a little bit, give another guy a shot to go out there who's talented enough, like a Cohen Carr or Xavier Booker, and let them get a shot at that situation. So like having that depth just gives you more tools in the toolbox for success for me.
So Jason Whitens, Pierre Brooks, each logging like 20 plus minutes in the PK 85 last year. That didn't really get your jollies going. That
salute those guys. Not a lot of guys are ever Big Ten players in their lives, so salute them for that. But at the same time, some guys can get it done at this level, and some guys they can't. So it is what it is.
Of course. They tried their best, and that's all we can ask for. It's going to be so fascinating just to see like what these lineups are in November, December, dare I say, like all the way up to mid-January. That's how many combinations that we could be seeing this season. So it's going to be, God, just quite the 180 of last year too, where you only had like at times 7 scholarship players when they had the 2 injuries on the team. But here we are. That's going to be very exciting. Speaking of early in the season, Carter, my number 4 is Thanksgiving Day. You're getting ready to make your plate. Maybe you're a few drinks in. Maybe you're just ignoring all your family or any combination of all those things. And I'm looking forward to screaming like, today I'm thankful that Arizona brought children to a grown man's game, or something like I'm going to think is really cool in the moment and then look back once I like come down and say like, oh, that was incredibly corny on Thanksgiving Day. I'm excited for that Arizona game on Thanksgiving after the Lions surely don't let any of us down. Like that's going to just go absolutely swimmingly as they do in Lions fashion.
I'll be thankful that Caleb Love wanted to take his loss in a Bear uniform, in a Bearcat uniform, instead of taking it in the maize and blue. So I'm thankful that he decided to do that.
Another thing to be thankful for, absolutely, or like something really corny, like oh, you want stuffing? Xavier Booker just gave it to Caleb Love right there, and then I'm going to be thinking that was a good one, and then 5 minutes are going to pass. And during the commercial break, I'm going to be like, what the hell did I just – what? All right, I really need to tone it down here. But, yeah, that's going to be a very exciting day. Of course, like on Thanksgiving, there's no obligations that day, no distractions, just you and a television and any little family member you have to ignore for that 2-hour window. So that's going to be a fun one. I'm just looking forward to that little game right there, the Acrisure Classic, if you will, Carter.
That's going to be an emotional roller coaster day for me. I'm way too emotionally attached to the Lions. That is even like healthy for a human being. And
I'm sorry to hear that.
Like it. Funny off-topic story, but there was a time when young Carter, probably like 10, very dramatic Carter, I wouldn't eat on Thanksgiving because I was upset about the Lions. Now I grew out of that because I can't believe I was wasting Thanksgiving meals over Charlie Batch. Like that's disgusting behavior. And Joey Harrington. But now, it's something I'm emotionally invested in still.
Oh man, punching drywall because Jeff Garcia couldn't deliver on Thanksgiving Day. That's a shame. That's a shame. It's a wonderful life we live as Lions fans. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Is your third on the top 5 things you're looking forward to as beautiful as watching Dante Culpepper play football on Thanksgiving, or is it even better than that?
About Dante Culpepper. Good Lord.
Oh yeah. Lord is right.
Yeah, my third thing I'm looking forward to is I'm looking forward to the recruiting class as a whole, but in particular, I'm looking forward to 2 guys, and that's Fears and Carr. Honestly, throughout my whole college basketball watching experience, I've always had an affinity or just like a excitement to watch guys that have done nothing but climb like the high school rankings throughout their career. Like Jeremy Fears was like a guy in the probably 50, 60 range, like high 4-star guy, and then has a great FIBA tournament, works his way up, has a great EYBL season, keeps working his way up, finds himself as a 5-star McDonald's All-American type player by the end of his career. And I kind of like seeing those guys that had that trajectory. Cohen Carr, another one, has done nothing but rise this whole summer and in the past high school basketball season, playing in a very competitive league in NBIC with legacy. So I like seeing those guys that constantly are getting better, especially at a high school level, because it's very easy to put it on cruise control and not really, get better and be like, oh, I'll just get to college. I'll get on that weight program. I'll get in that college basketball program. It'll all be good and well. I like seeing guys that have kind of that drive, and then you combine that with the college, basketball work ethic, weight system, weightlifting, all that. I'm excited to see those guys' improvements and how they're utilized too. I mean, we got a pretty nice backcourt right now without any backups. But like if Jeremy Fears is what I think he could be, and it could be scary hours for the Big Ten.
It can be, and God, just the Cohen Carr. I this isn't part of my top 5. It's going to be part of a lot of other people's top 5. But like his first dunk at Breslin Center, or the first time like he steals the ball top of the arc and it's just him in the rim 70 feet ahead of him. Like, oh, that's gonna be like a slow motion film. Oh. It's gonna be gorgeous sight for these eyes. I also do like the Fierce thing too, because look, he worked his way up, but he's also coming in with a chip on his shoulder because, yes, McDonald's All-American, all that good stuff. But then shout out to Rivals for docking him down to 38th or 39th in the country. Just, hey, before you get a little too fat and sassy over there, I wouldn't be surprised if Tom Izzo made the phone call to Rivals himself and just said, can we bump this guy down a few pegs? He's getting a little too fat, a little too sassy here. We need a chip on his shoulder to come in here and prove the haters, if you will, wrong. So I like that as well. Just the underrated Jeremy Fears for that one. Number 3, Carter for me. I'm going to go with another freshman here. Number 3 moment I'm looking forward to is Garrick Norman dotting a 3-pointer to go up 78-61 at Breslin Center against that school down the road. And I'm not talking about Eastern Michigan, not talking about Western. We're talking about University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. That home game against Michigan, knock on wood, don't want to jinx this, 8-9 months ahead of time. It's going to be a lot of fun. They've had quite the offseason here. Yes, they did just get that cat from Tennessee. Pretty good transfer, but they got a few more pieces to add. Do they not? I mean, I think that bumped them from 11th in the conference to maybe 10th in the conference with that addition. But how do you view Michigan this season? And should we be licking our chops here when it comes to MSU versus Michigan?
Obviously you got to be, I'm an advocate of kicking someone when they're down, when they're your rival. So, I was looking forward to them coming off an OT loss at the barn in Minnesota. And then we just blitzed them by 25 and Norman hits that 3 and he gets a tech 2. And it's absolute cinema when that happens. But I will say this, I'm starting to get a little bit scared because Michigan's starting to get a little more momentum than I thought. There's a lot of ramblings right now that they are the leaders for Antonio Reeves out of Kentucky. Okay. So they throw him in, get him with Olivier. They're not – I ain't saying they're a top 4 team in the Big Ten. We ain't going to take it that far. But they're not with the likes of Penn State like they were 2 weeks ago.
Of course. It will also look like – you know this, Carter. Everyone watching knows this. Everyone listening knows this. Those are solid players. Olivier Reeves, of course, but they also are coming off a season, 2 NBA picks, and then, a former All-American as your center, and that got them NIT. So, I'm going to need to see it in Ann Arbor before I get scared of, pretty good college players coming in because, they had some great ones recently, and it's been a stinker in Ann Arbor. Really hate to see it. It's been a shame. Haven't slept well ever since the end of that season for him. No, it's been great. Carter, number 2 so far. You've had 3 great ones so far. So let's take it home with your number 2 right now.
This might be these last 2, I will warn you, might be more so a want, but I'm looking forward to them because I think they're going to happen. Okay. I'm looking forward to a healthy offseason and a healthy season.
Oh, God.
Yes. And me saying that might be bad for the juju, but damn it, I want it. I need it. Yeah. I gotta have it. Yeah. Honestly, mainly in particular, I want to see Jaden Akins have a full offseason without any hindrance of any foot issues. That'd be very nice because we saw what he looked like once he got in his rhythm towards that middle of the season. Now I need that. I need that off-season program. I'm doing my buzzword right now. I went to see Jaden Akins at Moneyball last year, and it was special. And I don't care if it was Moneyball, and I don't care if Jaxon Kohler had 60 and 30 and Pierre Brooks had 50 in that game. It was the bag that Akins has, the ability he has. There's something there. And I think he needs a full, healthy offseason going into a really big year for him. Yep. And I'm just praying for the health of this team, but mainly Jaden Akins.
Water has to find its level, right? There's some pretty bad injury luck last year. And if you even want to borrow within the athletic department, even the football team too, eventually somewhere along the line, we have to balance out and just have an average year of health. And it's been so bad that maybe there's going to be an overcorrection and guys are just as healthy as a horse the entire academic calendar year of 2023, 2024. Hopefully it's this year. That would just be absolutely delightful. Carter, it's a good thing things are never jinxed on this podcast, so we're good here. Everything we say,
I'll settle for a tweak ankle, just no broken foots. God, I pray for foot health this year.
Okay, you know what? Yeah, if you don't want to get too greedy, you have to just point out one body part, just feet. That's fine. I'll take that
intact, please.
Yeah. It's not so much, you know what? I'll even offer up 3 sprained offhand wrist. Okay,
Yes.
how about that? Just for complete immunity of all foot, ankle, and knee issues. I think that's a fair trade-off somewhere along the line.
Oh, easily.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. My number 2, it's just senior day. It's senior day. It's going to be a highly emotional day, always holding back tears on senior day, as if like I know these people personally, as if they're my family, my partners. These guys have no idea who I am, and I don't have any relationship with these guys other than watching them on my television screen roughly 30 times every season. But man, God, senior day just always gets me. And of course, when you add in that, well, it is AJ Hoggard, a guy that came back, which we all thought he would, but still the storyline of, hey, he came back to get jobs, the job finished. Same with Tyson Walker, Jaden Akins as well, or really any freshman that's going to walk after this season as well. Should Xavier Booker be a one-and-done guy? Should Cohen Carr, maybe he's a dark horse one-and-done guy, but man, senior day, and hey, you know what? Leaning close, everyone, especially if that's like a banner day, like a game where we're either fighting for a banner or have already locked it up. Heaven forbid. Again, we really have to have this sprained wrist for feet injuries trade-off. That has to happen, but just senior day is just going to be delightful. And also, of course, catapults momentum into the Big Ten tournament, into March Madness, all that fun stuff. So senior day is my number 2. Carter, the world wants to know. The haters, the fans, they want to know. What's number 1? What's number 1 thing you're looking forward to the most this season?
Bringing it home. This is probably the most want out of all 5 of my list. And you got to hear me out. Stay with me on this, all right?
Okay, I got you. Yep, take your time.
I want a Jaxon Kohler suspension this year.
I love this.
Follow me here. And it needs to be something like not missing class. I need something detrimental. I need a Jaxon Kohler will be sitting out tonight for violating conduct detrimental to the team. Okay,
carjacking on Shaw in broad daylight.
I don't need him on IG Live like John Moran or anything like that. But we need a little bit of. I need a little seasoning on my boy. He needs a little grit around the edges, and I think the suspension will do it. That'll unlock him. You remember when Xavier Tillman had a second kid and he put senior on the back of his jersey?
Yeah, that changed everything.
That changed everything. Honestly, if Kohler had a kid and we threw Kohler Jr. on the back of the jersey, just a little something. That's all I want.
We need him to have a child, adopt a child, or show up with like 2 neck tattoos, like in the offseason. Like if he goes down Midnight Madness, full arm sleeve of tattoos, is that enough for you? Or is that like just the beginning of his saga of like being like a tough big man? Like
if he comes with just like a inside the forearm tat, like just something, not a wrist tat. I need like full. I need full forearm coverage. We're cooking with something.
Like 7 Japanese characters that he has no idea what they even mean. He was just told that they mean something sick, something hard. But God, I love that. A Jaxon Kohler suspension. Well, we'll work our way around here. Tom Izzo's known to, have some self-inflicted adversity. That'd be dynamite. You remember when Carson Cooper was essentially suspended from that military, the aircraft carrier game last year? Mm-hmm. Good times. We need that though, but multiple games. My number 1. Speaking of beginning of the year, my number 1. It's not as fun as that. It's not as just storyline driven as that. It's simply the Champions Classic, Carter, because look, MSU has played in a handful of these. And wouldn't you believe it? MSU has never actually lost a Champions Classic game because from my point of view, look, if you lose a Champions Classic, a lot of season left. You know what? There's no losses in life, only lessons. You're going to grow from this game. It's really nothing. Carter, if you win in the Champions Classic, though, the hysteria around this program, the hysteria around this fan base, it is through the roof. Whenever MSU wins in the Champions Classic, like last year, the double overtime game against Kentucky, or if you want to go all the way back to 2013 when they won that 1-versus-2 battle against Kentucky, like you are walking and your feet aren't even touching the ground for the next few weeks because you know that you have a team full of DAWGS dogs.
Carter. The streets will never forget. The streets will never forget about Mady Sissoko's Euro step last year. They will never forget.
I thought he was going to go number 5 to the Pistons when I saw him do that. I thought, oh my God, this is the potential that we've been missing, and it was sensational. sensational last year. So, yes, it's the Champions Classic and also just the afterglow that follows, whether it be, just the loss of, okay, well, Duke's a really good team. They got Kyle Filipowski back. They have an amazing recruiting class coming in. That's a team you could lose to and not feel too bad about. But Carter, my God, if you win that game, if you win that game, Carter.
Oh, and how the rankings are going to fall out. That game's probably going to be. They're probably going to have Michigan State like 4 or 5. I think probably.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And then it's going to be a toss up between Duke and Kansas. Duke might be 1. So
yeah, they'll get first place votes. My guess is Kansas, Duke, Purdue. Give me Michigan State 4 and then Marquette 5. UConn, that really nice pickup in Cam Spencer. I mean, they could be climbing up there as well. But yeah, I think that's gonna be your top 5. Marquette rounding out the top 5.
Yeah, it's gonna be special.
I could cry right now. I can get emotional right now. It is early to mid June, and I'm. God, you know what too? And turn this off, everyone, if you don't like pessimism at all. The Champions Classic is going to come at a really good time for us State fans, though, if the football season is going to go the way that many of us think it will, too. So that's like another underrated reason to really be excited for the Champions Classic. It's like seeing Superman in the sky coming towards you over the horizon. It's like, okay, safety and rescue is coming. Like, thank you for being here. Never on schedule, but always on time, Superman, and Michigan State basketball. So thank you for all that you guys do. Carter, thanks for everything you do, man. This was awesome. Anything that you want to say, anything you want to shout out before we let you go enjoy the rest of your week here?
You know what? I don't think I really got anything right now. You just reminded me that there is a football team for Michigan State, and that's something that I'm going to have to emotionally invest myself in as I fire up Peacock to watch Michael Penix Jr. throw for 500 yards and 6 TDs. But you know what? It's you gotta get into it. I implore people to do your best, not to just be like, okay, we still got basketball. Let's lock in. All right, we'll do this together. Yeah. We're gonna give it a go. We got rid of guys who are sending shots at us on podcasts about doing prison sentences. Right. We're catching strays out here, but it's going to be okay. I'm very much looking forward to Michigan State athletics this year, and that even goes for football. I'll say it. I'm looking forward to everything as a whole. Let's ride.
That's why we always love having Carter on. Just a ray of sunshine through and through, from hitting the recording button to saying goodbye to him. I mean, just the absolute best. Catch all of his work, Sleepers Media, and of course, Spartans Illustrated, doing all sorts of great work at both locations. And Carter, thanks a lot for letting me drag you back on the show, man. I love you. The fans love you. So really, really do appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you.
You got it. And gang, hey, I didn't forget about you guys. I love you guys too. You guys are simply the best. Now go enjoy the rest of your week. We will be back on Locked On Spartans, your team in green and white. Let's go. Go green.